limited to one page.
Yeah, one page. If you don't submit more than one page, I deduct marks. Yes, don't submit more than one page.
That means abstract should be one page, and the introduction can be in more than one page, right?
No. All the things, whatever you write, all the things within one page. More than one page, I deduct marks. If you don't submit, I don't give marks also, give minus marks. More than one page, I deduct 5 marks. Okay.
All the things should be in one page, no, sir?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. To summarize what I discussed last time, and then they will continue. And so the main thing what we discussed last time, tax and how affect tax and the society and the economy. Here we look at the tax on commodities and good, not direct income tax. That also definitely affect through demand curve. Here also in the exam paper, I can specifically mention tax on commodities paid by consumer producer. Now this chart, what we last time discussed, it's government tax collect from supplier. In that way, the supply curve shift left-hand side. I will take how it's happened to demand side also. Now different here, the unit tax. If the tax rate in the percentage given, slope must be different from the previous or original supply curve. Now here what we discuss is analyze the tax using the consumer surplus and producer surplus concept. We noted the original consumer surplus, original producer surplus together, social welfare, and the after tax, we noticed that different social welfare, though government collects some revenue, so that can happen. The original production level here, the Q0, let's say 100. After tax production goes down, let's say around 60. So that also we look at that negatively affect to the economy all. And if you look at the production possibility frontier, let's say the government tax kind of a good, let's say bread, very simple bread. So you can see the best production reduce and the production possibility frontier, if a macro level, if you look at shift inward like this. Both sides is not the bread, the other good side also shift inside because the industry, different level link each other, or the link so much linkages there. Now recent, I think 2 weeks ago, the government imposed or increased tax on digital service. That kind of goods situation quite worse. Maybe the original production possibility frontier after tax, because there's so much linkages to the economic activity, the other activity, even the, if let's say the digital services product this side, the other product this side, it may more like this, not even the little, other side good more, because they around 60% of the economic activities now generated to foundation of the economic activities, digital or the data, don't lie. So I don't know, like I always say, the government now tax. Now government, we mean by government IMF. Mainly purpose, the word, if I use the mainly, only purpose on collecting revenue, but the introduced tax and the government intervention main purpose in the go with the economic principle to correct market failure. Now that objective now even the not minor, even no thinking that side. So that long term ultimately badly affect to the society and the economy. Now what we quick look at here, due to tax, the green area lost to the supplier or the change of producer surplus, which means the reduced producer surplus by that amount green color area. The orange color area due to tax that's taken from consumer surplus, which means the consumer surplus reduced. The original consumer surplus now only limited to area 1. Original producer surplus only limited to area 5. So the green colored area drop, what is it? The drop in seller surplus, which means the producer surplus, and orange area drop in buyers, which means the consumer surplus. Now, the one good point, a part of it go to government as a government revenue, but still the blue area, you can see the big proportion become debt weight loss. Now, this chart also you can see same thing. Now here the debt weight loss, the area C and E, debt weight loss. Now, little go detail. Let's say the original consumer surplus, $200 million. Original producer surplus, let's say $150 million. Now, which means the social welfare originally 350. Now imagine the C and E area debt weight loss $50, which means loss to the society. Now the consumer, sorry, left is 300 only. Out of 300, B and D area goes to government. Let's say the 200 go to the government. It's the government revenue. Now consumer surplus plus producer surplus left only after tax. With this assumption, $100 million. You can see how the badly affect to the society, because we know society has two parties, producers, firms, and the other side, consumers. So we start the discussion, the circular economy will go like that. Now left only have circulate and for their consumption, their luxury, their satisfaction, their welfare, $350 social welfare. Now, 100 taken by the government. Now, government take 100. You remember, since the government has a role, what's the role? The pre-market work, the market mechanism work, it create externality, issues with the public goods and other thing. It create a market failure. And people drop from economic nirvana to second layer, maybe we can say, and so on. So now this government intervenes at this point to take the people and back in the original position, or according to economic principle, what we discuss, even the kind of higher level, engage in trade, and the government can do that. But unfortunately, for that government, hypothetical example, government collect in from the $100, $100 million for those. If government does their job, role here, address the externality, correct the public goods, then other issues related to market failure, create the asymmetric information, and government can generate or create a additional value more than 100, we can justify government did wrong. Now, honestly, look at what Sri Lankan government doing now is collecting tax, imposing tax is not that purpose. One is the, let's say, provide the, in names of poverty alleviation, always give subsidies. That always negatively affect to the economy. And also the government collect tax from those who can pay. They also discourage, and that also negatively affect the economic growth. So, then why really the government identically has to impose tax? It's not main reason collect government revenue. Though IMF led country right now, Sri Lanka, doing that. IMF doesn't feel it that, because IMF doesn't feel that our economic culture. IMF doesn't feel that our economic hardship. So, suppose someone say the IMF is the one support us scale up. So that is the thing. Either government, like I mentioned, to negative externality. And also another thing happened, like I explained before, this area due to tax. Now let's say they originally produced 100 billion, now 60 million. This area is a lost revenue for those who provide input to the particular industry. You can see that area value even greater than might be the government revenue, 200. Now, if it is the case, when in government revenue B and A, B area, if government knows that and give a kind of social protection support to those people, then again, no gain. Now, problem is even the government does not know about it, about this group. Government does not have any plan for the plan in the sense two things. One is the kind of giving basically three things that has to be included in the social protection. One is the giving kind of skill development training. That take time, and that period giving kind of support to their family members. Third one, also government need to create the opportunities to start new businesses somewhere. So that's three if government can do, but why is again doing? Because without the tax, they already survive. Then rather more than address only this block area, government has to provide some more also because it creates the debt loss as well. That area also, our example, $50 million value. Even government look at this, those who lost job and that area, then the debt, who cared the debt rate lost area? That again the cost to the economy, future generation. So that, and look at the macro level link and macro level analysis little bit. I can do using product possibility front. Now imagine the country, particular industry produced originally 100. Inside they say that industry, let's name as industry Y. The government tax on that industry. All the others decide. Now original production possibility frontier like this, and due to tax, now need produce only 60 million. In that way, this side and also this side also shift production possibility frontier inside. Now you see, with that also we can see how social welfare reduce. Originally, if you get optimal level, social welfare people can reach to without international trade here. Now only reach W1 level of social welfare. W1 level of social welfare. But don't always think at negative way. If government tax, like I mentioned, the industries produce so much negative externalities, harm to the economy, harm to the society. And also if the government tax the industries where less productivity, least linkages, that later help to economy because those resources can be used for some other productive industry and productive place, and economy will boom. So that kind of thinking pattern, our decision makers, that kind of analysis, our decision makers, we need. Unfortunately, we can't see our decision makers behave like that. Now, who benefit the burden, who bear the burden of tax also, which means whether consumer or whether producer. It depends on the price elasticity. Now, in this case, you can see producers and consumers equal amount of share to the government revenue. Total bearing, of course, the total burden, this plus this. So the weight loss area also has to come. And now, let's say the elastic case, kind of a good, if the government impose tax, like exactly very important goods for the economy and society. Now we see how that change. So that also you better understand. Another thing also, there are two principles of taxation. But I would add like three principles, because the third principle had to look at the tax, the purpose of the tax. Now, whether they really target the market failures case. That principle also I would add here. But here, a textbook is two principle and terms of collecting tax. One is the benefit principle, which means whether those who benefit from the tax, they pay the tax. The other one is the ability to pay principle. Now, unfortunately, there's two principles. If you look at the benefit principle, individual who receive the benefit. Now, in this case, look at our tax benefited, those who don't work, and we consider as the poor people. Why they are poor? They don't work, assuming that we have to support the elderly, children, and the disabled people. That's different thing. But in the majority, 60%, over 60% right now, giving the Samurdhi, they still can work. If someone may ask me, someone can ask me. So that is also our economic failure, and they don't have a job. That's what the government has to look at. Create the opportunities to start a business, start up, and create the jobs rather than giving a lump sum, those kind of subsidy. Now, with this principle, say those who get the benefit has to pay the tax, but that not happen, unfortunately. Now, the other one, ability to principle. Those who are able to pay the tax. Now, both principle, is negatively affect to the economy. Why? The ability to pay principle, because tax kind of thing, no one is like a disincentive, disutility. When you earn right now, let's say 1,000 rupees, if you have to pay increased tax, let's say 36%, 46%, that discourage to work. In that way, the long term, if you cut the production possibility frontier, people, those who contribute to the work, they discourage, they don't work much, and they shift this way. Ultimately, you can see the social welfare level also drop down. That's happened long term. If you want, we have written the books and the article published also. Our econometrist prediction also we did. For that result, economy come to the negative growth in 2028. We did that prediction 2 years ago. Now, the other principle, the benefit principle also negatively affect to the economic growth. Why? Those who get support, get kind of a facility free of charge, then discouraged to work because they know that case. For example, let's say the undergraduate student, government universities, they don't know, they don't care. This money comes and they don't work hard. Sometimes you can see that they destroy the university properties also. Even they don't come to the lectures regularly because that's wasting money. And also it creates inefficiency. Now take the kind of Samurdhi people. They know at the end of the month some amount money get, and for them maybe they consider as enough. So it's not encouraged to work. Also. That's also negatively affect to the economy and the society. So the both principles, the other thing also complete each other. If you try to tax on benefit principle, that complete other. Now, before I go to subsidy, if I'm not sure whether the last time I discussed with you and showed how economics questions, exam questions come. Now let me explain it now. Yeah. Now, ways the analysis I discussed. One way is the government tax on supply, producer. Producer is the one, so we already did. The other one is the target the consumer. So in that way, the demand curve is the one shift. Now look at the original demand curve. Look at the original supply curve, sorry. Now, after government on consumers, targeting consumers, consumer has to pay. What happened? The demand curve shift. Inward like this. So that happened. It's same result at the end of an analysis you can see. Now you can see the economy produce somewhere here about 50,000 units. Before tax, they say 100. Now the consumers really pay this amount, let's say $12 here, here $7, which means the unit is $5. That's the difference between these two. Now with that you can see how it's affect to the consumer surplus, producer surplus, and now the amount of the government revenue. These two amount of the government revenue. This area become net weight lost. Now the exam question I gave you, market demand function. Let's say the original demand function 60 minus TP. Original supply function before tax. This is a very simple version. I'll take the 2P. 2P. Now with that we can find without tax prices and quantity. Of course, here not 100 come in. When you do, you can find this. I have the hypothetical. So that is the equilibrium point here coming A. And with you can calculate the original consumer surplus, producer surplus, and the original social welfare. Now, if government collects from buyer, the consumer, let's say the tax, unit tax rate is $5, which means $5 at the consumer's price. Now, that way we can get the demand function after tax. This is 60 minus 3P. Now this pi also, the amount unit is also add here. Now you can see here. Now we can simplify with the value QT 60 minus 3P. Add so also because now consumer has to pay 5. Now with that we can find the demand function after that. It becomes 45 minus 3P. 45 minus 3P. Now you can see this is the demand after the tax. Now look at the original demand function. and the new demand function. That is the demand function I draw here after C. With that, you can find using the original supply and these together, you can find the new equilibrium. With that, the exam you should be able to find original social welfare, social welfare, which include consumer surplus, producer surplus, the government revenue. Assuming government revenue also use or contribute to the social welfare. And you should be able to calculate the net rate loss also. That is the area here value. And also you should be able to calculate the area value here, the revenue lost, the income into providers. And maybe I ask the question, what can do policymakers? What's the kind of policies or strategies policymakers have to address that? And also the rate loss. So that to me, the very question I asked. If you go government tax, let's say, collect supplier, let's say the original supply curve, original supply curve, 20, 2p. Like here. An original demand curve, let's say 100 minus 3. Top this value function you take and do the exercise as homework after the class, because exactly the exam I'll give question like that. Now let's say the demand curve, such a way we got here like that. Now the government collects from supplier or producer is affect to the supply curve, like we did last time. Supply curve shift left, and this become, let's say, unit is 5. How to find this new supply curve? What you have to do, QS T 20 plus P. Now what happened when the government 2P? But here, what happened, the government collect this unit from supplier price, which means that my supplier price originally $12, now 12 minus 5, which means minus 5 you have to take. Now new supply curve, which means the after taxing, then become N plus 2P. So that is the new supply curve. With that, you can find the value equilibrium here and all the other calculation, government revenue, net rate lost, and everything. You can do that. And even lost income to the input providers also you can calculate. That may give it some other information. You can do the macro level analysis also, like I said before, how economy dropped down and the social welfare reduced also you can explain. And so that how I most probably give exam question. So this demand supply functions and the things you take and as homework try to calculate the social welfare before, social welfare after, the government revenue, debt weight lost, and also this area value here, I call loss to the input providers. So everything you should be able to calculate. Now, if you have any clarifications up to this point, you can ask me. Okay. Since no clarification, now I move to the second or the last point of the intervention, the government intervention, that is subsidy. Now, all the three cases, what we discuss, price ceiling, price floor, and the tax. The first two quite serious because even the government does not get the revenue. Government does not get the revenue. With the tax case, at least the government gets some revenue, and that revenue can be used for correcting market failure. But whatever intervention negatively affect to the mainly the debt weight loss and also some unemployment, job loss also, it create a issue. We'll see what happened in case of subsidy. Subsidies also, you have to understand there are lump sum subsidy directly give to the household. In that way, demand curve shift directly. For that discussion, I don't do here. Here I'll discuss the kind of subsidies that made by the government to cover part of the cost of production. Now, for example, paddy, fertilizer subsidy. Other SME sectors, government give always subsidies, this kind of thing. We'll see what happened, this kind of thing, what happened to the economy, what happened to the budget, the government budget, what happened to the consumers, what happened to the producers. Ultimately, what happened to the entire society. Then you ask yourself the question, why government gives subsidies, like why government impose tax? What way has to do that? That understanding. So that analysis also you should be able to do that. Now here, like government subsidies to industries, industry mean even agriculture, service, also and country. My feeling, the government needs subsidies, government have to provide subsidies, but not exactly like the Sri Lankan government doing. Sri Lankan government provides subsidies in order to address only inequality and place with the poor people, poor. May cost to the economy and even. Why the government does like that? Because the mainly vote base is there. And so that is the most market political slogan, political things and doing. But that's a negatively effect to the society. But the positive way, government has to subsidize the industries which have more linkages with other sectors. Now, right now, fifth industrial revolution, though government imposed tax, that is the digital service and also kind of agriculture, because the agriculture, the main also foundation of any economic development. And basic infrastructure facilities, though in Sri Lanka tax on electricity rate is high, that also, if government provide those basic utilities, even the free of charge, the economy will move. The other area the government gives subsidies is create a positive externality, or it's help to develop public goods. What are the positive externality? For example, education. Giving subsidies improve education has a positive externality in the society long term and the economy long term better off. It provide subsidies to health sector is happen. But in that case, in Sri Lanka, I'm not saying the correct way is giving those subsidy, education and health, especially even the school level also doing wrong way, but university level completely wrong way. Because it's used the moral hazard that way. They has to peel those who get the subsidies item. Otherwise, they use as inefficient way. So what you see the analysis, what happened, this kind of input subsidy is encourage supplier, encourage producers and supply increase. That's why the after subsidy supply curve shift rightward. Now that happened. With that, what happened? The market price, originally point A, now reduce up to point B. Point B. Market price, which means the buyer now pay, let's say $5. When the buyer pay $5, but the supplier or producer really get $5 subsidy. Let's say subsidy amount is $3, which means the $8. That's what happened. In that way, the way. Now that's good. You can see they're getting subsidy. The government can help certain industries. My point, in the theoretically, government has to help the industries which has many linkages, industry which contribute the positive externality, industry who provide public goods. But unfortunately, if you revisit if you analyze Sri Lankan policies, is not the way. Now, providing subsidies, though this look like this three completely goes to the producer, consumer also get benefit. For example, in the government give subsidy paddy, farmers as well as the consumers benefit, because the consumer surplus also increase. Now, the original price, let's say here, $6. Now, after subsidy, the price goes down up to $5, which means the consumer surplus increase in this area, by this area, after subsidy. Change of consumer surplus after subsidy, like this area, the blue color area. Due to subsidy, additional consumer surplus increase. The producer surplus increase by green color area. Let's say the producer surplus increase by $150. Consumer surplus increase, let's say, by $100. This all 100 million. The society now, we know consumers and those together, total $250 million surplus generate additional because of subsidy. That's good part, because if you look at the kind of macro level picture, originally social welfare like this, after subsidy, their satisfaction increase. This community indifference curve moves that way. Community indifference curve moves that way. That's a good sign. But carefully look at how much money government expend to generate this $250 million subsidy. That's the amount you can see. This entire triangle. Oh, sorry, rectangle. So this you can see around 300 million. 300 million. Now, $300 million the government expend, but ultimately inject to the society only 250. Don't misunderstand that, not because of corruption. Don't misunderstand that, not because of inefficiency. Don't misunderstand that, not because of administrative cost. That is created dead weight loss due to overproduction. Because the market mechanism produced the efficient level, now government intervention make the overproduction, produce overproduction. Which means resources used inefficiently than the market signal gives. That created dead weight loss. Now, point here, where this $300 come from to generate this kind of 250 social welfare, government has to spend $300. Where those money come from? If you look at our history, in 1950, 1960, of course, we had a surplus. British period created, we used those surplus. After that, 1960 late and 1970, 1980 early, since we are a poor country, underdeveloped, we got so much foreign donation. We use those donations. That's why we enjoy all pre thing. Now, somehow we know 1990 or 2000, we reached to middle income level country. That is also, there's a roaming going on, only central bank change the data, but I don't know really that one. And whatever way, since the middle income level, donation stopped. Then what happened? The government took loans. That is also unfortunately mainly from China, high interest rate. Those loans we took and give these kind of subsidies, that this kind of maintain little high level of welfare. At the same time, we had a problem now, 2017 after 18, can't repay back, and because we did not use those loan productive purpose, since we have a culture, we have a habit, use whatever the money we get from subsidies and this part. Those subsidies and this kind of thing involved wherever, another thing also happen, it create a corruption. Now, with all the thing, ultimately, we were not positioned to get the loan also, no donation, nothing. Then the government now has increased tax. When I mentioned the government, you have to say IMF, because the IMF, the one we control our country, increased tax. Now, which means taxpayers has to pay this 300 million to generate 250 surplus welfare. That's not like that. Now, to collect, to do administrative work also, let's say minimum, we need another 100 million. Of course, more than that, of course, the real government budget, 100 million. Same time, subsidies, this government involved, not only Sri Lanka, everywhere in the world, at least 30% corruption also happen. If you add the 30% corruption, this goes like another $120 million. Even the last few years, Sri Lankan corruption even exceed over 40%. New government, of course, tried to reduce and bring at least 0%, but it never happened. Can't do that because there somewhere involved this kind of pre-think and subsidy, small amount of even corruption happened. That thing. Whatever. All the things to give this 200, now you can see, government has to collect from taxpayers $520 million. $520 million. That is the point where we have to clearly look at. Government has to collect now 520 million. Administrative cost definitely more than that because the two type of administrative cost. One is the for kind of ministries who look after this kind of subsidy distribution and thing. The other tax department, kind of ministries, because the collecting tax, there are also so much corruption involved, and the that tax department also. All the administrative cost definitely more than 100 administrative cost. But anyway, just 300. Now, India, imagine this country, only one person live, you. Now, you get at the end of the day 150, but the government steal from you, knowing or unknowing, 520. Now, you tell me genuinely, are you loser or winner? 520, this is 250. Really, the government steal in that way because of the wrong policy from you. $270 million. Your pocket, they put into 250. From your pocket, they took 520. Ultimately, you become loser. This game, badly play one of our some time back Treasury secretaries, I don't tell the name, some time back, of course, not this government, even not previous government, some time back. For saying the increased salary, he increased tax and other things. Ultimately, salary, we get the net salary negative. So, now you see, this is the point. Though you, as let's say the university student, undergraduate, you enjoy pre-education, your parents and others pay more than for that. For that. Now, it doesn't mean that the kind of subsidies and tax, this kind of instrument can't be used. Like I mentioned before, this kind of instrument, we need to address the market failure. We need to lead the economy and identify leading and the most linkages industry, provide subsidy. That exactly doing country like USA. For example, look at here, 2009. Nowadays, of course, you can see the agriculture sector, even the previous president, USA, new president also. Because the agriculture sector is the foundation. And now here, 2009, USA government offer large subsidy to the automobile industry. Logic, because what happened, the economic crisis and these things badly affect to the car industry in the USA. Government analyzed that one, give that one. Why this large industry government provide rather than the small industries? Because the large scale industries are the provide jobs more, and economic benefit analysis if you do, large scale firms provide the positive economic benefit, small firm provide negative economic benefit. Large scale firm provide decent work, the small firm is not always provide decent work. Why I said the large firm provide decent work? Large firm get good the salary, good benefit, good package, and good facilities. SME is not like that. Now, you may not agree with me, or you may argue with me, but if I ask now here the 38, out of 38, would you like to join the large firm or small firm? You definitely, I mean, you definitely say about 90% large firm, because they are the pension you get, they are the more benefit you get, they are the facilities you get, like housing, cars, insurance. Small firm like that, not like that. So, and the job creation also mostly happen. So what government did is more leakages, more fund, you need the large scale and provide this kind of industry. This is another example how subsidies affect and has to provide to lead the economy to develop the country. Now, what really we can see, this kind of subsidy, what Sri Lanka provide, they happen at least this. Once you carry your own water, it's not happening our way. We carry someone else's water, then we don't care, we drop. If you carry your own water, now you masters, even of course, I know, you just come and you get the certificate. You say you pay your own, you really value it. You come to the class, you want to study. But if they get the free of charge, the university education, they peel that free of charge. I'm not saying not giving the free, but we have to use the different instrument, kind of scholarship, kind of voucher system, to peel that they lost something. So in that way, they benefit. Now, here I mentioned another thing also, there are 4 types of decision makers. Whenever those kind of government involved, government intervention happen, you must understand these 4 types of decision makers and check whether you belong to which group. The one, I can say the decision makers, they are the one who earn money. They are the one who earn money, and also they are the one who expend money. I check yourself whether you are a decision maker, even to your household level like that. You are the one who earn money. You are the one who earn money. Then you carry this pot, I think, carefully. Second kind of decision maker, you earn money and you take the decision, but expend someone else. You are not spending money. You work hard and you earn money. For example, traditional society, husband earn money, give money to the wife is not working and wife spend. But still, whoever take the decision, this also take carefully decision, because they feel that if they spend is hard, they try to save it. In that way also they try to keep the pot without drop water. That kind of decision makers, they don't earn money, not earning, but they spend only. Like a previous case, I said, like a wife. But in now new society is not like that. So that also carefully do it, because when you spend also, you have to do carefully. You can save and you can optimize your utility and your household utility. both kind of decision makers, they don't earn money, or neither earn nor expend. They make only decision. Now they make the decision with someone else's money, someone expend money. That is the people who live in the treasury. So that is our policy makers, public policy makers. So they may take the decision when they take they try to get their personal benefit, not properly looking at the benefit to the group get done. So in that way, they can look at this statement. Now, same time you read this statement also, sometime back I took this website also, you can see of government subsidies, and Milton Friedman made this statement some time back. So maybe this statement I can give the exam paper also. Now, Walter Milton Friedman said, there is nothing so permanent as a temporary government program. The point is that once pressure groups start receiving subsidy, it's become very difficult politically to remove that subsidy. Because that's what happened really, the constitutional government in Sri Lanka. Someone start giving subsidy, next government can't do reducing. To get elected politicians need to promise to keep subsidy, even though there is net welfare loss. A good example is the temporary USA agriculture subsidy introduced in 1920 and early 30s, which have grown in the cost and the influence and have proved very difficult to remove. In Sri Lanka also, you can see now, if political party comes to the power, talk about removing single subsidy, next day they lost the power. That exactly, you can see, have experience what we got in Sri Lanka. So look at Sri Lanka situation. Take this statement, maybe same statement I give the exam paper. You should be able to analyze and provide your proposal. With that, I stop this point. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or any clarification, you can ask me. If no question, no clarification, at this point we stop. Next week, I'll discuss some application related to demand and supply, not this government intervention, some application. So thank you very much. But still, if you have any kind of questions, you can wait and ask me or any clarification. Tomorrow is the deadline, the assignment. If you don't give, I deduct 10 marks, not giving 10 marks, I give -10. Okay. Thank you very much. Hope no question, no clarification. Then